Wishing each one of you a very, very happy new year of 2018. Wishing all success and a prosperous year ahead. This vlog is my first vlog and it's a great start for 2018 as far as we are concerned. Today we are going to talk about a lot of aspects, a lot of dimensions of what our existence really needs to mean. You know, from our physical health to our mental health, to our spiritual health, to our emotional state, to the cosmos and beyond. Because when we look at our lives, it appears as though our life is simply around our little job, some little money, some relationships that we have to manage, and we are caught up in this cycle without having the time and life to actually do what we are really meant to do on this planet Earth. So let me start off with every year we all make resolutions, we make goals, we make visions of what could our future be like. Now I'd like to quickly talk about what I've learned from that experience. First of all, I understand very clearly now that when we are making a vision for the future, for our lives, or in our case, your life or anybody else's life, I realize goals in some ways makes your life very one-sided if you look at it from that perspective. They need to be more of affirmations that help us achieve the true potential of what we are as human beings. And we need to look at it from a holistic standpoint, like I mentioned a little earlier. Now this holistic standpoint that I'm talking about has many elements. Now let me start off with the most basic element in our three-dimensional world, which is our physical health. Our physical health, generally speaking, if you really look at the situation that we are in, we kind of disregard our physical health to a large extent by the food we eat, by what we consume through our inputs, the kind of material that we watch and we send, and the brainwaves that we get in return, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, and all around us there seems to be cases of not having the perfect solution. But what do we do in this time? Now I want to tell you one thing that is coming increasingly to my awareness. The human being, that is you and I, we are very, very intricately and specially designed to evolve our consciousness into a higher level. But we have forgotten that real secret. We have forgotten that our human mind and our human body and our soul has the capacity to go way beyond what we are right now. So let's start off with physical health. In terms of physical health, from last year's 2017, it's going to be a continuation. I'm going to get fitter, and I'm hoping that people around make the time to do a little physical activity. It could be anything. It could be a walk. It could be some sport. It could be anything that interests you. But move from that couch. Just move. The next area that is a dimension of our lives is our emotional health. Now, as human beings, we should remember that we are not only a logical being, but we are also an emotional being. And our brain is also designed in that way. We have a left hemisphere, we have a right hemisphere. Now the right part of our brain accounts for all the creative, all the emotional, all the areas that are not logically communicable. Whereas the left brain, this side of the brain is what does the logical aspects, does all the math, does all the physical plane existence that we as human beings understand. This year, emotionally, I've understood one secret that happened very recently. We're constantly in a space of either our past or our future. When we are thinking about the future, there is a lot of areas where we feel fear about because it's unknown. It's more like death. Why do people fear death? People fear death because they don't know what's going to happen. And that's the same when you're in this present moment and you think of something in the future. Maybe it's something about your job, maybe it's something about your relationship, maybe it's something about your life. There is that fear, and that is your driving emotion at that particular point in time of your life. And then there are a lot of times when you're in the past. When you're in the past, it's anxiety because you have a result from the past that you have very well internalized, and now you believe your present and future is going to be based on your past. But the reality to improve your emotional life is to remember that the only thing that we actually have is the present moment, and how we deal with our present moment can actually change our past and future. Now that concept may not, especially how can it change the past, is a question that immediately comes to one's mind. I'll make another video on the secrets of time at some other time, but let me go on to the next aspect of our human being that we all need to work on. The third area, after your physical health, your emotional health, now I'd like to talk about your mental health. Some people will ask, what is the difference between emotional health and mental health? Well, like I said, your brain is divided into, in a way, two parts. You know, in every mysticism, there's a duality that kind of exists in the oneness in a way. And this mental health I'm talking about is the clarity with which you are able to see your present reality. Now, everyone in the universe has his own reality of what is happening in the cosmos, is what's happening in the universe, and what's happening to himself. The ability to see yourself as a different entity and see what's happening in your mind, and based on that, having a very clear understanding of who you are, helps tremendously to get clarity in life. Now, for the last 6 months or so, I have been meditating on a regular basis, on an almost daily basis, and it's a beautiful app called Headspace, which I'm just going to put a link to in the description below, and maybe it's on the side as well. And as I meditate and as we understand the mind's working, you understand a lot of fears and a lot of greed that we have is stuff that we have created. And because of that lack of clarity, we are not able to clearly see what is the reality and what is the reality that we are creating. When I talk about mental health, I'm going to be continuing my practice of building that understanding of how my mind works. And I really suggest in 2018, it is an integral act for each and every single human being to understand the working of the mind. Once you understand the mind, everything else becomes easy. The fourth aspect is our spiritual health. Now, most people, when they make goals, we notice that they make goals for their physical body, they make goals financially, but they really forget their spiritual goals. This year, I have come to a very strong realization that as a human being, we are first spiritual beings. It's after that we are everything else that we perceive as to who we are as the I that we call. As a spiritual human being, this year is going to be about love. I have lived a big chunk of my life in fear of not having enough money, in fear of not having enough business, in fear of not knowing what is going to happen with this particular event, etc. and etc. But what I've finally found out is there are two base emotions. One is fear, the other is love. The longer you can keep your soul in the dimension of love, the higher our consciousness is going to evolve. But you know, for the training that we get from childhood, you know, everything is a fear-based system that we've been brought up in, meaning to say, if you don't do this, you get a punishment. That is with almost everything, whether it's school, whether it's religion, whether it is work, whether it is any where that you are physically present. Generally, there is a lot of fear that is trying to control you, not love. But as all ascended masters have always mentioned, it's only with love that you can change your life and everyone else's life. So this year, let us make it a habit to base our thoughts on love rather than fear. You know, with the previous aspect, when I was talking about mental health, you know, when you're doing these meditations, you will be able to see how your mind's pattern of thinking is. And let's separate fear and love, and let's move our thoughts, our vibrations into vibrations of love. The more we can emit that, the more our world is going to become a more beautiful place to live in. The fifth aspect that I'd like to talk about, it's about wisdom. You know, when you actually look at the information that is being spread in the world. Of course, there's a lot of beautifully interesting made content, but there's also a lot of junk. This year is going to be the year that we have to consciously decide to have a certain kind of an information diet. You know, don't wake up in the morning and take your phone and sell your soul to that phone and to your social media and to all those other aspects where you're losing your mind to somebody else's programming. You are the best supercomputer in the whole wide universe. Make sure you use that to a whole new level. And how that can be done is make sure you're in this constant need to learn, constant curiosity to understand the universe around you. This wisdom, even though you may not find it on mainstream TV, sometimes you may not find it in a lot of the illegitimate WhatsApp messages that you get, but there are places that you can look for. One place for sure, I know I'm doing a little bit of marketing, is ADTV. But apart from that, there are beautiful sources and wonderful links that I will be sharing through ADTV in 2018. And I'm assuring you, this channel is going to be for the people. This channel is one of the big visions of this channel is to ensure that humanity is, even if it's a fraction, we are moving into the next level. The sixth aspect of us that I'm going to be personally working on for myself, and I'm hoping that whoever I meet is also working on, so it's a mutual motivation to do it even better, is the aspect of understanding us beyond just the earth, beyond just a continent like Asia, beyond just India, beyond just Karnataka, beyond just Bangalore, beyond just that little macro perspective that we are fed in. The earth is, as we all know, a part of a massive cosmos, and everything in the cosmos is interrelated. And we as planetary beings on this dimension and this physical plane, it is also an important aspect for us to understand the cosmos as a whole. So in this channel and some of the links that I will be sharing a lot of information about not just the everyday affairs. I will be sharing everyday affairs, but I will also be sharing a lot of information that is universal. It not only affects you and me, but it affects the entire cosmos. It could be things like sacred geometry, the harmonics of music, the beauty of the golden ratio, the meaning of phi, what are actually, why are there so many gods? Is there a meaning to all this? All this information is going to come out in various episodes through ADTV. The seventh and the final aspect is the aspect of beyond. Now, we've talked about aspects that we understand, but what is beyond what we understand? We've been living in a limited three-dimensional world, where we only understand the physical nature of our existence. But there is something beyond this. There are, in some mysticism, they say there are 11 dimensions, and we only understand 3. Just imagine what is there in the 11th dimension. And as we go higher in the dimension, by the time we reach the 11th dimension, it seems, even I've not gone there, so I'm not professing to know everything, but in the process of making these videos, in the process of sharing this knowledge, I hope to share what these dimensions are, share what they mean to us, how do we access them, and what can we do with our life using these dimensions and evolving us as a species, evolving our consciousness into the next level. I hope 2018 we can make a real revolution, go beyond just our physical self and our immediate selfish needs. We will need to see our whole planet, our whole human race, our whole cosmos in one giant oneness, and that is the only way we can progress as a spiritual being. We can progress as a human being. This is that very time when we use the power of our spiritual mind and the power of our soul to transform our human species into the next level of consciousness. This is that time when each of us, we're going to make the difference that we so wanted to make. So I urge each and every one of you, get out of your couch, Make those visions of what your life is truly meant to be. Looking forward to an absolutely fantastic year. Let's grow in confidence. Thank you so much.